reach your arms up overhead to invite a little gentle stretch through your shoulders and into your chest. So I'll try to include some poses that work the entire body, but definitely the main focus is going to be on hips and hamstrings. Personally, those are the areas that I really like to work quite a bit in my yoga practice. See if you can relax your thighs completely here. So that gravity just naturally pulls on them very gently. I think often the biggest mistake that we make when we're trying to get more flexible is that we use too much force, too much pushing. And personally, I've found that I've gotten way better results once I learn to ease off a little bit. It sounds counterintuitive, but it's really worked quite well for me. So take another 2 deep breaths here, in and out through your nose. Let's extend arms up overhead. If they're not there already, stretch out your legs. Great big stretch right here. And you can pull your right knee in towards your belly. We'll take a twist. I do like to do twists after hip openers. So you can cross your right thigh over your body towards the left. Try to stack your right hip over your left one. And this is option 1. If you'd like to go deeper and really work on flexibility, you can straighten your right leg and maybe reach down with your left hand. See if you can keep your right shoulder on the floor. So right leg doesn't need to be perfectly straight. You're going to feel this through the IT band and through the outer hip, as well as into the hamstrings. So there's, again, no need to push, to pull, to strain against the poses. We are not here forever. Try to move in opposite directions, moving the right shoulder away from our right hip. One more big breath. And start to bend into your right knee, come all the way back to center, and we'll go do the same thing on the other side. So your left knee comes in towards your belly, right leg is straight, and then you can cross this over into your twist. So you really want to extend and reach your left arm and shoulder out so that your chest faces up, and then maybe you straighten your left leg and reach a little bit lower down. Totally normal for one side to be very different from the other. So for me, it's always going to be my left leg. It's always a little bit tighter, a little bit weaker. And it's okay, not a big deal. Just modify however you need to. See if you can feel your belly expand when you inhale. And the belly button draws back towards your spine as you exhale, allowing you to twist a little bit deeper. One more big breath here. Let's very gently ease out of this twist. Bring your feet flat to the floor, knees bent. And working the hamstrings in a bit of a different way, we're going to reach the right leg up towards the sky and hold on to whatever is accessible to you here. We're just going to bend and stretch. So a little bit of dynamic movement and dynamic stretching. As you bend, you can contract and extend and pull that leg in. Bend and stretch. See if you get a little bit more room. Take one more here. Bend the right knee, straighten the right leg. And now go ahead and point your toes. And you're going to use arm strength and ab strength to curl and lift up. Squeezing it in And exhale to lower down. Keep the hold of that leg and extend your left leg straight. So getting even deeper into this one as you pull it in, almost as if you were doing the splits right here. And as you bend into your left knee, let's find reclined pigeon pose. Cross your right ankle over the top of your left thigh. And you can reach through with your arms, trying to pull that left knee in a little bit closer. Relax head and shoulders on the mat. And release from this pose, left foot comes flat to the floor. Keep this figure four shape. You're just going to drop your left thigh down so that your right foot comes down to the floor. And you can use your left hand to push your knee and your thigh away, reaching your right arm out to the side. So getting a little bit deeper into the IT band. Right into that outer hip, the area that can get really tight for a lot of us. There aren't very many yoga poses that really get us to target this area. So don't be surprised if this is harder than you thought it was going to be. Totally normal. Come all the way back through to center. Bring both knees in towards your belly. Take your happy baby stretch, holding onto the feet, stacking them over the knees, maybe rocking a little side to side. And we'll release. Second side, right foot down, extend your left leg up towards the sky. And we're just gonna bend and stretch. So there's really no wrong way to do this one. It's just whenever you bend, you're trying to pull the thigh down. And whenever you straighten, you're just checking in to see if your leg can make its way a little bit closer towards you. Not getting too worried about how far you do or don't make it in the pose. Promise it doesn't matter. And next time you straighten, go ahead and point your toes, and we're going to curl head and shoulders off the mat, engaging a little bit of ab strength. And as you lower, go ahead and straighten your right leg, squeezing it in. Big, big, big stretch. Into our reclined pigeon pose. Cross your left ankle over the top of your right knee and pull your thigh in. Notice if you're tensing in your shoulders or in your neck. We only need a little bit of arm strength here. And let your foot come back down to the floor into that IT band stretch. So let your right thigh drop to the floor so your left foot is flat on the mat. Left arm out, and you can use your right hand to push into your left thigh so that your knee is pointing directly up towards the ceiling. Really trying to get into the side of the obliques, down into that outer left hip. One more big belly breath. And let's come all the way back through to center. Back into that happy baby pose. See if it feels a little bit easier the second time around. Pressing your knees open wide. We'll make our way into a wide-legged child's pose. So you can rock up or just roll to one side. Big toes together. Knees as wide as you would like them to be. The wider they are, and the deeper you're going to feel the stretch. Just make sure it doesn't pull on your lower back or cause any kind of pain. Relax your chest to the floor. And this is another one where we're trying to get gravity to do the work for us. Releasing any expectations we might have of ourselves in this pose. Start to bring your hands in so you lift your chest. Now bring your knees together. You're going to tuck your toes under for toe squat, so stretching into the soles of the feet, into your toes, your ankles. You might feel it in your calves as well. And we're just going to add a little side bend here. So you can reach your left fingertips down, right arm extends all the way up and over. Big side body stretch. Really reach through those right fingertips. Let your head be heavy. And then coming all the way back out, switch sides, left arm stretching up and over. Keep pressing your heels or your hips down onto your heels. And all the way back out. Now go ahead and point your toes, should feel pretty good. And let your hips come back down to your heels. Bring your hands back behind you and stay up onto your fingertips here. Squeeze your shoulder blades behind you as if you're going to bring your elbows together to touch. Puff up for your chest. And maybe start to lift your shins and your knees off the floor, stretching into the front of the ankles. Opening up. And let's release. Find your downward facing dog. First down dog, hands are shoulder width distance apart, feet are hip width distance apart. Make movements in any way that you like here in your down dog. Pressing back into your heels, curling your tailbone up towards the sky. This will really help you get into the hamstrings. Reaching your chest to your thighs. Let's reach our right leg up to the sky, bend your right knee, open up your hip, take a great big stretch here. You're trying to touch almost as if your right knee was going to touch the ceiling and as if your right heel was going to touch your seat. So squeeze it up. And then finding our lizard pose, you're going to step your right foot to the outer edge of your right hand. So I love this pose for big hip flexibility here. So both hands to the inside of that leg, and you might rock a little bit back and forth. Just warming up, letting the hips be heavy, getting deep into those hip flexors. And if you can, if it's accessible to you, you can also lower down onto your forearms. Taking 5 big breaths here. Keep the back knee lifted off the floor for this first variation. And now go ahead and let your back knee come down to the floor. And we're going to lean. So if you're on your left hand, that's fine, or you can stay on your forearm. See if you can bring your right hand to your hip and push that knee down as you lean back. Some of you will stay here. If you'd like to go deeper, you can add a quad stretch, reaching your right hand for your left foot as you pull that heel in towards you. Definitely an intense pose. Carefully let go of your front foot. Bring your hands back in front of you. Tuck the toes under. Lift your back knee off the mat. We're coming to Skandasana. So walk your hands towards the long edge of your mat, towards the left. And you're going to bend into your left knee, straighten your right leg, and lower as much as you can. Inhale through to center. Exhale, bend the right knee, straighten the left leg, and flex your foot. Try to get the sole of your foot flat to the floor. One more on each side. Inhale up, and exhale down. Try to roll your shoulders back. Last one here. Okay, and now from here, we're going to come into half butterfly. So just let yourself sit down. And you're going to bring your right foot to the inside of your left leg. So left leg is straight. Just move into a side bend and reach your right arm all the way up and over. Roll your right shoulder back. Inhale, back up. Ground your right palm down to the mat. Baby wild thing. Reach your hips up. Reach your left arm all the way back. And hips coming down and face over towards your left thigh, and go ahead and fold on down here. Relax your chest, your head, your neck. Feel that big stretch through the back of the hamstrings and through your spine. Inhale, lift on up, and now face over towards the front of the mat. We're gonna come into our pigeon pose. So you're aligning your right knee behind your right wrist and straightening out that back leg. So beginning here first, square off your pelvis and see if you can find a little back bend in the pose as you walk your fingertips back. And you might just stay here with your hands out in front of you. You can make this a little bit more challenging by bringing your hands back behind you, as if you could crawl them back to lift the heart up. Big stretch. And now let's release and fold all the way down. So the traditional variation is pigeon pose. Give yourself a good 5 slow, steady breaths right here. If the hips are really tight, you can just stay up on your hands rather than folding forward. And let's lock our hands in. We're going to meet back into our downward dog. I'm not taking any vinyasas in this practice, but if you'd like to take a flow at home, this is where you would put one in. So if you want to go through chaturanga and core dog, you can go ahead and do that. Otherwise, in your down dog, just stretch everything out. Noticing how your right leg and right hip feels compared to the left one. And we'll go and even things out. Reach your left leg up to the sky, bend your left knee and open up your hip. So again, it's almost as if I'm trying to get my left knee to touch the ceiling and my left heel to touch my glute. Squeezing it up. And we'll step to our lizard pose, so left foot to the outer edge of your hand, both palms to the inside of that thigh, and you want your knee directly over your ankle. And just rock a little bit back and forth as you invite the hips to melt down towards the mat without letting your knee come down. Try to keep it lifted. If you need to drop it, of course, go ahead and do so. I'm not here to micromanage anyone. You do what works best for you, but I'm just trying to get you deeper into those hip flexors by keeping the leg up. And you might come down onto your forearms. Keep pushing into your big left toe so you're not totally rolling over. We'll do that variation in just a moment. And then go ahead and let your back knee come down to the floor. Bring your left hand to your thigh, and you can go ahead now and roll to the blade of that foot, leaning back. Maybe you'll stay here, or maybe you add your quad stretch. Bringing that right foot in, and leaning it back. See if you can relax your hips a little more. I know this is a challenging one. Carefully release the hold of your back foot, and we'll find Skandasana again. So you need to tuck the back toes under and lift your back heel off the mat. Walk your hands along the right side of your mat. Bend all the way into your right knee, your back knee. Front leg straightens as you drop your hips down. And notice how you might be able to go a little bit lower now that we've already gone through a sequence on the first side. Left knee bends, right leg is straight. Once more on each side, maybe using your hands a little bit less and deeper into our legs. Last one. And now you're gonna hold here. We're coming into our half butterfly fold. So you're just rocking down onto your hips. Bring your left foot to the inside of your right thigh on your side bend first. Left arm reaches up and over. Roll your left shoulder back. No tension in your neck or in your jaw. Come all the way back up. Left hand down, right arm reaches up and over. Press your hips up. Baby wild thing. And release. We're going to fold down towards our right leg and right shin. Every time you exhale, see if you can relax your shoulders a little more. Even in your jaw and your facial muscles. And slowly come all the way back up. We're coming into Pigeon Pose. So facing the front of your mat again, this time you're aligning your left knee behind your left wrist, stretching your right leg back behind you, leveling out your pelvis so you're not leaning on one side more than the other. And we'll find a back bend first, getting deeper into the hip flexors as well. So you might just push your fingertips into the floor. Or you might start to reach your hands back behind you. So it's really just back and spine strength, like muscles along your spine that are facilitating this back bend. One more big breath. And we're gonna fold down. 5 breaths in our Pigeon Pose on the left side. One more breath. And we'll start to come out. Again, if you all meet in downward dog, if you want to take a flow at home, you're welcome to do so. From plank to chaturanga, upward dog, and downward dog. Alright, let's keep going. Right leg rises up to the sky. Once more, bend your knee, open up your hip. And we're gonna step to warrior 2 this time. So bring your right foot forward between your palms. Spin your back heel parallel to the shoulder edge of your mat as you extend out. So front knee generously as you squeeze that knee open. Then let's reverse. Left hand down, right arm up. Inhale, warrior 2. And let's find our extended side angle. So option 1 is to bring your right forearm to your thigh. Left arm up and over. If you aren't able to go deeper, you can bring your right hand down to the floor. So what I don't want you to do is bring your hand to the floor and now start to face the ground. I really want you to feel your left shoulder pull back, and I want you to feel yourself lean back. Push your feet into the floor, come all the way back, warrior 2. And let's straighten the front leg, bring your back foot in a couple inches, triangle pose. Hips lean back, stretch your right arm forward, all the way down. And you might just hold onto your shin, or you can push your hand to the inside of the leg. Whatever you'd like here. Just like extended side angle, pull your left shoulder back and lean back. Let's bring our left hand to our hip. We're gonna come into our half moon pose. Bending into your front knee. Bring your hand a couple inches in front of your right foot, and you're gonna push out. You're just gonna move back a little bit on my mat. I'm in a small space. So balancing on your right leg, squeeze so that you can lift your left leg off the floor. And you might keep your hand on your hip, or you can stretch your left arm up. Some of you will stay here. Others can transition with a bind. So bending into your left knee, catching a hold of your foot, and pushing the foot into the palm. Definitely one of my top 5 favorite yoga poses. You're leaning back still here. And re-extend. Left hand to the floor. Bend into your supporting knee and drop the foot back. We're coming into our easy twist. So from this lunge, let your left hand come to the floor, right arm up. So just a gentle twist here to recalibrate. And right hand comes down to the floor. Bend into your left knee, or sorry, drop your left knee, I should say. And pipe and straighten your right leg. Some of you will stay here, others can move into your full splits. If that's something you're working on. Splits is something I've been working on, it seems, my whole life. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Totally fine, doesn't matter. One more breath wherever you are. And we'll start to bend again. So if you're in full splits, ease it out. Bend into your front knee, downward facing dog. We'll be setting up for the second side. Left leg rises, bend your left knee, open up your hip. Warrior 2. Spin the back foot in, push and lift on up. So palms facing down to the floor. And now let's reverse, right hand down, left arm up. Inhale, warrior 2. Extended side angle. Maybe the forearm rests on your thigh, or maybe you bring your left fingertips down to the mat. Roll your right shoulder back, and as if someone was pulling on your right hand, really stretch it up. Keep your hips nice and low. Trying to spin the heart up towards the ceiling. Push into your feet. Let's rise up. Straighten your front leg. Bring your back toes in a couple inches. Triangle pose. Hips leaning back and folding in. Left hand down, right arm up. You really don't have to be looking up at your top hand if it hurts your neck in any way. From here to half moon, let's bring our right hand to our hip, look down to the floor. And you're gonna bend into your front knee and bring your hand somewhere out in front of you. I'm just gonna shift back a little bit. So you're balancing on your left leg, squeezing into your glutes in order to lift that back leg up. Maybe your right arm extends as well. So the key to this pose is not to let this right leg be very soft and noodle-like. The more you can really stabilize, the easier it's going to be. And maybe you find a bind, grabbing a hold of your right foot, pushing the foot into the palm. Carefully release. We'll find our easy twist from here. So hands down to the mat. Into your lunge, right hand down, left hand. Left hand to the floor, back knee on the mat. Straighten that left leg, and maybe you're hanging out here in your half splits, or you might slide that left leg forward, or the left heel forward, working on your full splits. If you are in full splits, start to bend into that front knee, coming on out. We find downward facing dog. From this down dog, walk your feet forward to the top of the mat in your ragdoll fold. Bend your knees a little bit, hold onto the elbows. You can sway a little side to side. And release your hands down to the mat, bend your knees generously, and roll all the way up to stand. We'll come into a wide-legged forward fold. So widen your feet towards the shorter edges of your mat with your toes turned in slightly. Hands on your hips, inhale to lift and lengthen, and exhale, fold on down. And let's interlace our fingers behind our lower back before reaching your knuckles up and over. Try to relax your head, letting it be really heavy. And release your hands down towards the floor. Walk your palms towards your left foot and left leg as you fold in a little closer. And switch sides. Walk your hands over towards your right foot, right leg. Come back through to center. Lift your chest up about halfway and turn your feet in, toes out. Bring your hands to your thighs and sink down a little bit lower. And if you can here, come down onto your forearms, otherwise stay up on your palms. We're just trying to push and squeeze our knees open a little more. And you can sway your hips a little bit here. And keeping your hips nice and low, reach your arms up, inhale. Exhale, sink it down, and just holding here, think of squeezing your glutes to push your knees open a little wider, even as you sink down a tiny bit further. And press the straighten, turn your feet in again for coming back into our wide-legged fold. One last time, folding down. This time, interlace your hands the more usual way, so the other thumb on top before reaching your knuckles up and over. You might notice that it feels easier one side versus the other. It's totally normal. Bring your hands back down to the floor. Instead of going towards our feet, bring your hands out in front of you again and lift your chest up about halfway, and we'll add a twist. So left hand stays down, right arm up. And we can switch sides, right hand down, left arm rises. And release. Hands to your hips, push your feet into the floor, lift on up, and look towards the top of the mat. Just step, shake it out. Widen your feet a little bit. You can turn your heels and toes out, hands on the heart, and we'll sink down. Shoelace, your squat. Press your elbows into your knees to widen them a little bit. Come to take a seat, staff pose. Both legs straight out in front of you, toes curled in. And see if you can push your hands into the floor to straighten your spine. So even without folding, I find this to be a really intense and effective pose. So working the entire posterior chain, press and lift. And then you can make this a little bit more yin-like in nature, so relax your legs and start to fold forward. So you can definitely bend your knees a little bit here. My preference is to do this more like a yin yoga pose. So not engaging the muscles in the spine, not keeping it straight. Instead, I relax everything. You can do the other version at home if you prefer. As we start to unwind, I find this to be a really lovely, nurturing pose. Push your hands into the floor, start to walk the palms in to lift. We'll make our way down onto our backs. And taking reclined shoelace pose. So you can wrap your right thigh over your left one. Keep your heels away from each other, and you might just pull back on your knees, drawing them in, or if you can, hold on to your ankles. So feet are moving away from one another, and I'm trying to pull them down. But really working on that outer hip. transition from here into our twist. So without really changing the legs, you can reach your arms out into a T. And you might need to move your hips a little bit to the right before letting your legs and knees drop down to the left. So a much deeper twist. Starting to release from our practice. Maybe taking longer, slower breaths in and out through your nose. Three more breaths right here. Our knees all the way back up, uncross your legs. We'll find reclined shoelace on the other side. So left thigh over your right one. Hold on to whatever is accessible to you as you move your feet away from one another and draw the thighs down. Deep breath into our twist. Expand through your arms, move your hips to the left a little bit, and let your knees and thighs drop over to the right. Imagine that there's something heavy on your left shoulder that's encouraging to rotate down. Few more moments in this pose. You might need to engage your belly a little, float your legs back through to center. We're just coming to Shavasana. If there are any other little movements that you'd like to do before you can settle here, really take your time to get as comfortable as you can. So especially when we have an intense practice like this that works really deeply into our muscles and a little bit into the connective tissues as well, it's important that we give ourselves time to really process and integrate this work. And that's what Shavasana can do for us. So try not to rush through this part. Let yourself enjoy these few minutes where you get to simply feel into yourself and make that deeper connection. And if it's hard for you to sit still and to not move and not do anything, you might want to work with a visualization that can keep your mind not distracted but focused on something. So some visualizations that I like is to maybe imagine like a cleansing white light moving from the crown of your head, going all the way down to your fingers and toes. This cleansing white light can bring in relaxation, maybe healing, maybe sending yourself love, whatever it may be.
Thank you for watching.